to New York and they don't even realize there is a downtown. And that's sad. It truly is sad. They might see the park and the waterfront to some degree as they cross the bridge. They've never been there. There's not an inviting way to be there. And some of this came out from the Queen's University student streetscape design that came out last year. Some of it is due to the fact that the bridge is being redone, a smaller bridge, and the entire area is being redone, and an opportunity to come out from the bridge right onto Water Street and to the waterfront and to the downtown areas. And a lot of things are coming together all at the same time. And what we want to do is take advantage of these opportunities and really hit them and not let them go. So there's a couple things that were looked at. You take a look at the next slide. What the urban designers have basically come up with. They came up with two concepts, and the first one is what you see, which is what we end up going with, which is what they call basically a necklace or a jewel type of concept. You've got some really very important gateways of this community. You've got the gateway on the east at the St. Lawrence College coming into town from the east side. You've got a few very important gateways at the Centertown Gateway with McConnell and 9th Street. You've got Brookdale and 9th Street. You've got, of course, Pitt Street coming down and right at the bridge. And then, of course, you've got really, I think for our sake, one of the most important jewels in this crown, which has been identified later as the most important, which is Pitt Street and Water Street, which is the flow into the park and at the waterfront, which is where we have an opportunity to really bring people down into the waterfront, enjoy the waterfront who are residents, right? So there's an opportunity there, a huge opportunity. So what they've taken a look at is we have a lot of different areas, and this city is very complex, right? We've got the waterfront as it sits, we've got the textiles, we've got trilingual areas, the St. Lawrence itself as far as the seaway, et cetera. We've got a lot of different areas and concepts we want to, and to integrate everything is difficult, but so what they've basically taken is take all of these areas and divide them up as separate districts to have a symbiotic flow from one district to the next with difference. I mean, the Lange does not want to be integrated as, hey, we're just part of the downtown Cornwall. They want to be separate, but they also understand that if we can have a standard set or a standard design for lighting and benching and et cetera, everything will flow together better. So right now there's a lot of disjointed, we've got a lot of committees in this town, including the waterfront, all doing their own job. But how are they working with each other? And what's really changed is a lot of committees working with each other for one common goal, which is to get the downtown, the center town, the waterfronts, all revitalized in a way that brings people downtown, brings people to the water, and has a flow in between the waterfront, the downtowns, Le Village, the cotton mills, the bridge concept, the university, the college rather, and that's never really happened before. And to have all of those committees on board with this one program is really different than we've ever seen. So if you take a look at two more slides, thank you, Terry. You're you're perfect. You're already ahead of me. You're perfect. So the first concept they looked at was a basic linear approach to what we were doing, have everything exactly the same. And when they looked at the diversification of Cornwall and how many different groups and different ideas and different histories all the different areas had, they just didn't think that this worked, and they went back to the original approach which we've already agreed on, which is the necklace and jewel approach. So they've identified some very key areas of focus in this area. Now, I'd like to just bring up real quick that, oh yeah, I really need a pointer because it's very important for me, because I've always wanted to use one of these. How does it work, Annie?
We want it back.
How does this work? Oh,
don't point at your own hands.
all right. So I just want to bring up that really where this whole concept came from is when Centertown was first formed. I mean, Centertown is kind of a combination of the downtowns, heart of the city. I mean, it came out of a program which was from OMAFRA, Ontario, the Ontario government, And when it was formed, we realized there's so many different diverse groups all working towards their own little goal and their own separate thing. And to bring them all together was kind of difficult. And so Centertown became formed, I guess, 2 years ago. And when we were discussing with, actually with the city administration, what was brought up was, we had a lot of ideas of how to unify everything and bring a common theme to everything. And what the administration actually said is, well, if you really want to do this, you really need to have a professional plan and implementation strategy designed by professional urban design architects to tell us exactly how to go forward with a phased-in implementation plan. And of course, we're just a bunch of volunteer groups trying to all give our opinion, right? And so listening to that, this is how this all came about. So we ended up hiring EDA, which that's what they do, to say, look, this is our issue. Our issues are, we don't have connectivity from the waterfront to the downtown. We do not have connectivity between the two BIAs. We have a bridge coming down, which is a great opportunity that's been dumping everyone up into 9th Street up all these years when nobody even knows there is a downtown or a waterfront. Now we've got this opportunity, what do we do with it? And so we brought them in to fix those issues, or to at least address them. So this is what they come up with. This is a little complicated. I don't think anyone really cares to go into the details of this. Quite honestly, it's just a matter of curbing and where the sidewalks go, and et cetera, et cetera. But the concept is everything addresses the connectivity between the two BIAs, connectivity to the downtowns and the waterfront, the cotton mills and the bridge, that whole area to be an actual downtown, revitalized. This is the hub of Cornwall, instead of, hey, this is the fast food outlet on Brookdale, right? Which is what most people think of when they know Cornwall. So if you take a look at the next screen, basically, you're looking at some of the design concepts. There's a lot of things that can be done in the design phase, which are not necessarily that expensive. To give certain themes, certain concepts that we want to get across, whether, it's certain type of paving within the intersections. One of the key intersections, as far as I'm concerned, and I think the waterfront would be concerned, is the Pitt Street, Water Street intersection. That is the key intersection which gets people to Lange Park. And as far as the waterfront goes, one of our mandates, of course, is to increase and enhance the utilization of the park and the waterfront. And the issue we've had in the past is coming down Pitt Street, you hit a barrier, and it's called Water Street. It's kind of like the Iron Curtain of Cornwall, right? You don't go past it. There's 4 lanes of traffic. It's not conducive to foot traffic. So what do we do with it? And that's one of the key things they've looked at, and that will come up in some of our further discussions as far as how to deal with it. Take a look at the next slide. All of these are basically I've actually got 2 copies of the same one, sorry, Terry. So what's ended up happening is they've taken a look at the entire area, and they've identified different sections of development, which include things as simple as tree planting and as complicated as archway kind of fixtures, potential as far as some of the bridge work, as far as maybe leaving some of the columns, et cetera, and using them as enhancement tools. Some of the parks to be reinvigorated as public spaces. They've identified the phases for which are the most important as far as high phase, low phase importance, as well as completely gone through the entire list as far as administration is concerned, which is important as far as pricing and how to implement them. So what basically this is an implementation strategy. Go to the next one. I'll give you a couple examples. The next slide is the West Gateway. This is basically a gateway concept. Cornwall's always been known as a gateway community. However, we haven't really utilized it. We're the gateway to the U.S. We're the gateway to Quebec. We're the gateway up to Ottawa. And from Quebec, we're the gateway into Ontario. But we've kind of been unknown, although we're supposed to be the gateway. So what we're doing is trying to become a little more known in this type of thing. So this would be the West Gateway. So you're taking a look at what could potentially be coming off of the bridge. So coming off the bridge, for the first time, you are going to, say, the casino in Akwesasne. You come back off the bridge and you want to stop for dinner. You're not dumped onto 9th Street to have to stop at McDonald's or Wendy's. Perhaps you say, let's go downtown. An opportunity to go downtown, to stop at the park, to have a picnic, to use the facilities in these areas, and to make it inviting. What says, hey, you're in Cornwall, the downtown area, is what happens at this intersection as far as the bridge is concerned. And we have a great opportunity as far as this is phase one, because the bridge is being redone, the intersection is being redone. The federal government is paying for a lot of it. There's an opportunity to really take advantage of that and have this as part of this year's phase one without a lot of expense to the city itself. You on? This slide, you see some basic conceptual ideas for the bottom of Pitt Street and Water Street, which is, and Sydney Street as well. I mean, really, everyone understands this is the pedestrian gateway to the park. This is where people come and go from the park into the downtown. And the opportunity we have of utilizing the park and utilizing our water front and getting more people to cross that barrier, which is Water Street at times. Whether it's a matter of just simple trees, there's a conceptual idea of really taking that bell tower and utilizing it more. Currently the bell tower as the clock tower, sorry. The clock tower, as magnificent as it might look, at times can be a barrier because it's the only thing you see. But utilizing it and getting it so that it is an attraction, it brings people past the tower into the park, to the water from Pitt Street. You'll see currently Horowitz Park, which is an opportunity. The designers have seen that as a very good opportunity for potential upcoming public park to be used when there are conventions and things happening in the park. Oftentimes it's only in the park, right? You stop right at Water Street. And to use some of the smaller areas just inside the downtown to cross back and forth. I mean, the more traffic we get from downtown to the park and from the park to downtown, the more successful we are. And I see a big opportunity to have smaller venues in that park and to really revitalize that park and get more pedestrian traffic back up and down both Sydney and Pitt Street. And here's just a few of the concepts on that. These are a little more specific. I mean, we're going into the village here. Right on Montreal Road, little park in front of the church. Completely underutilized, could be turned into one of the big keys here. Again, it's not just the main downtown and Lange Park. Cornwall City is a little larger than that, and the more that we can include the village, the cotton mills, and the waterfront in that area, whether it's the baseball diamonds or Lookout Point or etc., then the more successful we'll be as a city. So there's just a few concepts.